Yeah. What's up, everyone? Jonathan Berry here, coming to you live in the eye of the tiger. And today we are talking about peak performance tactics and strategies and mindsets for entrepreneurs and leaders. If you are a creator or somebody who just is innovating in your industry, this is going to be a powerful video with a lot of ideas to help you stay in alignment and stay in peak performance so that you can maximize your impact in your life, in your business, and everything that you do. And as creators, it is important for us to be able to harness the power of our mind, our body, and our soul to be able to really activate that entrepreneurial spirit so that we can have our greatest impact in this life, because that is what we are here to do. To utilize entrepreneurial ventures to make a great impact in this world, I believe, is a noble cause and a worthy effort. And right now, as you know, in our world, there is a massive need for entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, environmental entrepreneurs, anybody who has heart that wants to solve a problem or create a solution. We need you. Now is the time for entrepreneurs to rise up, to use the power of technology, right? To use these amazing supercomputers that we have in the palm of our hand to create solutions. Because right now it's just, I look outside, I look at our environment, I look at, just what's happening, and I see so much possibility. I see so much potential. And so today is all about maximizing our potential as leaders. And I want to share a little bit about my background with you and how I became a peak performance athlete and a peak performance coach, and then went on to take that training and that mindset into business and into leadership. And so it started for me when I was a competitive gymnast as a kid. After quitting gymnastics, I took my energy and efforts into snowboarding, competitive snowboarding, surfing, and skateboarding, and worked with many athletes who were advanced surfers, and using these types of mindsets and methods that we're going to talk about today to support them in achieving victory in their competitions. And now we can apply this to our own businesses. And since then, I've started 7 companies in a number of different industries, including $1 million recording studio, and have published a few books, and really looking forward to just sharing with you this curriculum today around how you can have the greatest impact in your business so that you can show up as the greatest expression of yourself, as the greatest leader for your company, and make a great impact in this world. Cool? All right, so let's get into it. I want to give you a quick overview about what we're going to get into here today. We're going to start by discussing how to master your morning. If you have a morning ritual, or if you are interested in creating one. So we're going to be mastering our morning. Then we're going to be talking about meditation mastery and why meditation is so important to integrate into your day. Then we're going to be talking about peak performance workflow, how you can really maximize your efforts while you're in the office or in the co-working space or in the coffee shop, wherever you work, if you're a digital nomad or working with a company. Then we're going to get into energy mastery, mastering your energy consumption and production. Then we'll be talking about how to turn off and turn on, because at the end of the day, we got to be able to turn ourselves off, and we also got to be able to turn ourselves on. So let's get into it. We're going to start by talking about mastering our mornings. And the first thing that I like to do every day when I wake up, the very first thing, is I like to do what I call dream recall. Dream recall is remembering your dreams. And this is a really powerful tool for expanding your consciousness and being able to master the control of your awareness. So dream recall gives you the ability to remember what happened in your dream. Who was there? What colors did you see? What experiences do you remember? What did it make you feel like? And what you can do is you can create a new note in your phone and write down your dreams. And what I like to do first thing is I pull out my dream journal and I write down, what I do is I turn on the auto dictate and I just start talking into my phone what I remember from my dream, so that you don't actually have to really type, because typing first thing in the morning is really challenging, as I'm sure you can imagine. And so essentially what you want to do is you want to just start doing that every morning. That's the first thing that I like to do. Most people wake up in the morning struggling from their alarm. They, go straight into a high beta brainwave, meaning the mind is thinking, the brain is thinking. They pick up their phone, and what's the first thing that they do? They go online, they check their notifications, they get those dopamine hits that immediately remind you who you are and what you need to do. And immediately you jump out of bed and you start doing, right? And we do. And sometimes we forget to just be. So the second thing that I like to do is I begin my morning ritual. And my morning ritual basically consists of, drinking some water, using the bathroom, making some superfood changa coffee, and then I'll go into my bedroom and I'll sit on my bed, I'll put on my eye mask, and I like to go into a meditation. So if you have green juice or whatever you do for your morning ritual, just map it out. I know a lot of people like to use affirmations, and I also like to do a little bit of stretching in morning. First thing in the morning, just like when you roll out of bed, stretch, do whatever it takes to make you feel good, to make you feel alive, to make you feel recharged. So what types of things do you like to get into that keep you in that mind state of flow and to be in that mind state of peak performance? I'm really curious. One thing that I do like to do first thing in the morning as well, right when I roll out of bed, is make my bed. When you make your bed, it just gives you that first things first, it's gonna be a good day. And a lot of times, I'll wake up and I might be in a funk. If you ever wake up and you're in a funk, sometimes I like to use affirmations and just say, this is gonna be a great day. Today's gonna be the best day of my life. One that I like to use. So play with that. So the second thing that I like to do for my morning practice is my morning meditation. And at this point in my life, I'm at a phase where I'm doing between 30 minutes to an hour of meditation every day, and I'm absolutely loving it. My meditation practice is one of the most important and sacred things to my day, and I really encourage you to try it out. It's important to just be intentional. The intention here is to really cultivate a state of awareness and consciousness. And so when I'm meditating, I'm not slouched down, I'm sitting up straight, and I'm tuning into the best version of myself energetically. So I'm tuning into the energy of my greatest self, but I'm also tuning into the emotion of my greatest self. And what I like to do many times is I'll have my notes out in front of me, and sometimes I'll have epiphanies around what I want to do in the day, what I need to get done. I'll think about priorities or how I want my day to flow. And so this is a really great productivity hack to just have your notes out in front of you. You have your eye mask on, you get some epiphanies, some revelations, and then boom, you start writing down your ideas. This is just a great way for you to be harnessing that meditation power to tune into the future, to tune into your day. So another thing to keep in mind is that you have the ability to turn on your emotions and actually pre-program your body to have a good day. And this is something that many professional athletes do. In my experience with working with pro athletes, one of the most important things that I've seen is that they will actually meditate and visualize the victory of their competition, and they'll feel the feeling of that future. They will feel the emotional state. And I want you to try that right now. Just imagine that you were to have a great day today. What would it feel like in your body if you were to have the best day ever? What would that feel like? And keep in mind, anything could happen, right? We have no idea what the future is going to hold. All we know is that it starts right now in this moment, and the emotional state that you're feeling is you're pre-programming yourself to have an amazing day, to have a great experience. And so this is something that I've seen with peak performing athletes and professional athletes, and it's something that many entrepreneurs use as well. So I encourage you to explore that, because thought precedes form. Thought precedes form. That means that your thought or your awareness will think something and then you'll do it, right? Like you're like, oh, I want to get coffee, and then you go and get coffee. Or, oh, I need to use the bathroom, then you use the bathroom. Oh, I got to go to work, then you go to work, right? So every idea, every innovation, every invention, every entrepreneurial venture always started with an idea. And so if you can just keep in mind that in the same way, you can imagine what would the greatest day look like, what would that feel like, and kind of download that program into your brain, and then you just run the program like you're a supercomputer, because you are. So keep that in mind, and also just know that flow is a choice. Being in flow state is a choice. It's an intention. You have the ability in any moment to decide that right now in this moment, I am in flow. And, just keep in mind that being in the zone is a feeling. But if your feelings are, getting stirred up from something happening in your life, maybe something emotional happens, maybe someone says something to you that makes you feel a negative emotion, keep in mind that if you're not able to control those emotions can get stirred up and take over. And so if you're unable to control those emotions, then you will potentially control. Cool. So we're going to move on from that morning mastery section, and now we're going to get a little bit more into peak performance workflow. And I'm really excited to share this with you guys because I am all about peak performance in my work. I'm always trying to maximize my impact and explore how deep can I go into a project, right? Like how deep can you go into execution and getting things done without getting lost into Facebook or without getting sidetracked into, Facebook or social media. This is something that's so important for us as entrepreneurs, especially because when you're an entrepreneur, you are your own boss. And if you don't get the job done, you're going to get fired. And if you get fired, guess what happens? Well, you got to go find another job, probably working for somebody else's company or working for somebody else's dream, right? So just keep that for entrepreneurs, but also for the intrapreneur, somebody who's bringing the entrepreneurial idea and mindset and the entrepreneurial spirit into your company. Because you can make an equal amount of money as an intrapreneur. You can create a new business model within a pre-existing company that doesn't currently exist, and you could pitch it to your boss in a similar way that you pitch, a new business model into the world, right? But then you're leveraging that community. So keep in mind, if you're working, when I say working for somebody else's dream, you can dream within your company. And I see this happening so many times where people think, oh, I can't innovate, or it's so hard to innovate in my company, but you just got to get more innovative. If you're having a hard time innovating, well then, that you probably should try to, do another brainstorm session, or, break free from the boundaries of limitation, because anything is possible. Mind you that when you do that meditation in the workplace, when you bring meditation into the workplace, you're decreasing stress, increasing decision making, increasing self-control and self-confidence, increasing clarity, competence, and moving from a competition mindset to a collaboration mindset. So just keep that in mind. That's going to keep you in that flow state within your day. So just from the very beginning, keep that in mind. Now, one thing I want to introduce is something called the Pomodoro Method. And maybe you've heard about it before, but I really like to play with this concept. Basically what you do is there's two ways. So basically it's like you're doing a work blitz. Like you're going to work really hard for 25 minutes, and then you take a 5-minute break. And then you do another 25-minute blitz on one project, you take another 5-minute break. And it's good to actually explore doing this. You could set an intention, like if you're working in an office, you could say, okay, I'm gonna do this for 4 cycles in a row, and then I'm gonna take my lunch. So you could do 25 on, 5 off. The other option is that you do 45 on and 15-minute break. So 45 on, 15 off. And you can change it. Like, today I was jamming with some of the Pomodoro Method, and I actually went longer because, I was really inspired. But, one of the greatest hacks when doing this is to actually turn on a timer. turn on a timer when you're doing this, when you're doing your work, and watch what happens. Like, have your timer on your phone. Don't pick up your phone. That's one of the rules of the Pomodoro Method. You don't want to pick up your phone and review, what's going, if anyone's liked your comment or whatever. It's like, you got to be focused, and you're just doing a blitz. It's kind of like the Scrum method. If you've heard of Scrum, it's a agile development, agile design methodology for teams, where you come up with an idea. You say, okay, I'm going to focus on this one project. I'm going to get from here to here. I'm going to focus on this for 25 minutes, and then I'm going to take a 5-minute break. Let's go. Boom. So explore that, try that, and remember, set the timer. And even in your day, just like having a timer out, it's something with the mind, with your subconscious. It automatically makes you be more productive because it's you against the clock. So play with that. Okay, so next thing I want to share is creating a sacred space in your work environment. I think it's really important, especially for people who work in an office, or if you're, a digital nomad and you change environments. It's really important to find a place that inspires you. And a lot of times an office is not inspiring, but you have to work there. And so you can do a number of different things that will help you to create that sacred container for you to get shit done, son. So what we want to do is maybe get one of those little, what I like to do is get one of those little salt lamps. And the salt lamp is basically a rock of salt, and the light on the inside heats it up, and it actually creates negative charged ions, which are similar to if you were to walk out in a forest and breathe the air, those are negative ions. Or if you're at the beach, or if you're near a waterfall, there's a lot of negative charged ions which cancel out free radicals, which are the cancer-causing agents of, burning oil or fumes from cars. It's actually cleaning the earth, right? Those negative ions clean the earth. And so just by putting one of those on your desk, you're creating negative ions, creating a good vibe, and it has that nice light ambiance, set the mood to get stuff done, get in the mood, right? Okay, so second thing that I really encourage, you could go as far as like going and getting crystals. If you're one of those really spiritual people like me or my friends, you could go get get some sacred geo, all up in your, space. But basically what I really think is important, for me at least, is having the option to have a standing desk. So a standing desk and a sitting desk, if you can get one of the ones that goes up and down and you can adjust it, that's ideal. But having a place where you can stand and work is so important. It's really changed the game for me, because if you're sitting constantly, what's happening in your body? Well, you're getting sedentary, right? You're not having a lot of circulation happening inside your body, and that can cause a lot of energetic blockages, and you don't want that, right? You want to keep that circulation going and flowing. You want to put your headphones in. I'm like listening to music, I'm dancing, I'm like feeling it, I'm grooving to it, and I'm typing at the same time. And so, and as far as the music goes, like I'm either listening to classical music or dubstep. So, one or the other, depending on the vibe. I encourage you to, be malleable, mix it up. Try some different things, see what works. Cool? Cool. And we're going to keep going. It just gets better and better, you guys, just so you know. So just stick with me here, because we have got some really powerful tools and technologies here to share. Cool. So let's see here. Where were we? Okay. So second thing, when you are standing at your workstation, one thing to just keep in mind, a big challenge facing people in the middle of their life is that people, when they sit too much, when you're sitting too much, you're relaxing your lower energy centers. You're relaxing your pelvic floor. And I'm standing up for this. I'm showing you. Basically, people are just not engaging their pelvic floor region. And then guess what happens? When you don't engage your pelvic floor and you sit at a desk for hours and hours and hours, guess what happens? You lose your ability to turn yourself on. Basically, you're decreasing, you're becoming impotent, basically. And so something to keep in mind, especially for the men who want to, keep that fire alive, who want to keep that, the engine turning. One of the things that you can do is you can actually try this practice, And basically, the way that it works is you're going to practice engaging your pelvic floor and your perineum. So there's two parts of this muscle. There's the front, the ones that stop you from peeing, and the ones that stop you from pooping, right? The front and the back. So just try it out with me. Just try the front, and you can kind of like squeeze it like this, and then try the back by itself. Back. Hope this isn't too weird for you guys. And then try both at the same time. Cool. So this is your Mula Bandha, and this is actually something that is taught in yoga, and it's taught in a number of different practices that are all about turning on your internal organs. Now, if you're sitting from 9 to 5, whew, that's a lot of time to be sedentary, to not be moving. And so that's why when I'm standing, I'm actually doing these pelvic floor workouts where I'm basically engaging my pelvic floor, engaging my abdomen, and it's a breath work practice, and it kind of goes like this. You inhale, and then you squeeze those lower centers, your abdomen and your perineum. And you're basically strengthening your core muscles. And you can do this throughout the day, and it helps to actually move the energy through your body. Because if you're stressing out in here and you're stressing out in here, you're creating a lot of stressful neurotransmitters in your body. And if you're not transmuting them or like moving them through your body, then they're just going to sit there in your body and cause stress and dis-ease. And so that's why it's important to move that energy. We're going to be talking about physical exercise as well, which is equally important. We want to be able to, move that energy through our body, especially if you're working for, 9 to 5 or many hours. You got to move the energy. Cool? This is peak performance training, people. Let's go. Let's step it up. All right. The other thing that I like to do in my workplace, in the workday, is I actually like to stretch out. And so, I'll be standing for, a while working, and then I'll just take off my headphones and I'll open up, spread my legs. I'll reach down to the ground. I'll do some stretching, shake it out, just move. You feel me? All right, cool. So we're going to move forward from there. And now I want to talk about your biological peak performance, because basically there is a chronological biology inside of your body, biological processes that reveal to us when our peak performance times are. And so we are essentially hardwired for peak performance. And when we align with that circadian rhythm, we can actually start to align with that and maximize the potential of that. So I want to share a few things that you can do. The first thing that I want to share that's really important to keep in mind is that the best time to do creative projects is between 7 and 11 a.m. 7 to 11 a.m. is a sacred time for creation. It is not a time to get lost in emails or to get lost into social media, because when you're dumping all of your consciousness into the computer screen, you're basically cutting yourself short, because your creative energy is life force energy. It's flowing through you right now. And if you just dump all that out into responding to emails and stressing out about things that haven't been done yet, then when you're finally done with that, say it's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and you've just been communicating all day, and now you have to think about creative projects, that's not the time for your circadian rhythm to be doing that. In fact, that's more of a time between about 11 o'clock until 3 o'clock is the time that you want to be doing your meetings and having more like brainstorming sessions with your team. So keep that in mind. That's more of the ideal time for meetings, 11 until 3 o'clock, brainstorming, masterminding, all of that type of stuff. So you've got up until 11 a.m., 7 until 11 to get stuff done, creative projects, big projects, the things that, your dreams, your big, block scheduled projects. And then you want to get into more of the, meetings and stuff. Now, the other thing I will say is that the best time for learning anything new is up until, so basically 7 until 11. And then after that, from, let's see, hold on, let me make sure I get this right here, from 4 o'clock till 10 o'clock p.m. So in the evening times is another good time for learning. The other thing that I really find valuable for peak performers is in the morning when you're first starting your schedule and you're basically like mapping out what it is that you want to create. how you want to spend your day, you're going to be doing some block scheduling. And essentially block scheduling is where you go into Google Calendar and you say, okay, I've got 4 projects that I want to work on today. Each one is going to take 1 hour. And I'm going to place a 1 hour block into my schedule for the day. And I'm actually going to map out exactly when I'm going to do these projects. This will change the game. This will change your life. If you actually do this, especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you actually do this, you are going to see so much happen in your life because you actually are creating your schedule. You're not just going with the flow and kind of like, oh, I think I'm going to do this now, or oh, I'm going to do that, and just kind of, what you end up doing is multitasking. And that's one of the biggest killers of productivity is multitasking. People are trying to do too much at once. You're spreading yourself thin, and you're cutting yourself short from performing at your best. You're cutting yourself short from fully focusing your awareness and your attention on the work that you're doing. And I know it's challenging for us millennials especially, or anyone that's got multiple screens that they're looking at and working on tons of projects, and you've got your side hustles and all those things. So one thing at a time. Say it out loud. I am going to focus on one thing at a time to achieve peak performance. Try it. See what happens. Load that up in your bong and smoke it. Let me know how it tastes. Cool. All right, so moving on. Energy mastery, consumption, and production. Okay, so I want to talk about energy consumption. Now, when I'm right now it's 1:34 and I have not eaten lunch yet, nor have I eaten breakfast. Now I did have a superfood smoothie, but what I like to do is I practice intermittent fasting. You may have heard about this before, you've probably done it before, or maybe you've just starved yourself and worked on projects so long that you naturally just intermittent fasted without actually intending to. But basically it's where you skip breakfast each day and you eat 2 meals. So the first meal that you eat is around 1 p.m. and the second is around 6 to 8 p.m. Then you fast for 16 hours until you start eating again the next day at 1 p.m. So this is challenging for a lot of people, especially if you come from a world where they said that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Actually, I'm pretty sure Kellogg's, or the big multinational corporations that make cereal created that slogan, but actually it's not the most important meal of the day. In fact, when you eat a big meal first thing in the morning, it weighs down your energy. Have you ever felt that before? It's like all of a sudden it zaps your energy because now you have to digest food. But if your brain operates the best in the morning, you want to keep that thing, you don't want to weigh your brain down, right? You want to be at that high vibration, that high frequency. So for me personally, as I said before, I like to drink coffee. I'm a coffee drinker, and I like to do the bulletproof coffee. So I'm putting, which is basically like reishi mushrooms, some chaga mushrooms, some superfoods. I like to put in my coconut oil and some grass-fed butter, and essentially what that's doing is that it's putting your body into ketosis, and so it's like supercharging your brain and your body, and so it's like boom, like pull you right out of that morning fog and put you into action. So something to play with there. And let's see, moving on. As far as superfood goes, I have a company that I like to buy my products from because it's the best superfood I've found in the market. It's called Purium, and I'll put a link in the comments. I'll put a link to all the research from what I'm sharing today. But essentially, what you want to do is I like to replace meals with superfood smoothies. So I'll do like a frozen banana, some dates, some almond butter, almond milk, and then all my superfood products, and just put it in there, and it's the nectar. I'm telling you guys, you got to get on the superfood train. It will replace a meal for you, and you will your gut will thank you for it. And if you don't already know, gut health is the future of human evolution. Your gut is where all of the pharmaceutical, all of the medicine that your body needs is literally produced in gut. Your gut is your own body's pharmacy. And so as long as you're nourishing your microbiome and really giving yourself those vital nutrients and the micronutrients and the macronutrients that your body needs, you can literally produce any neurotransmitter that your body needs to maintain health and wellness. And so, a lot of times people will get so stressed out that they drive themselves sick, right? And they wonder why that is. It's probably because you are holding on to so much tension and stress inside of your gut, and you're not breathing enough. Everyone take a breath into your gut and then relax. Super important to breathe, to allow for your gut to completely relax. Very valuable. And when you get to a point where you've gone too far, the next step is to take a power nap. Power naps are important because essentially, when your brain is firing, you've got alpha, beta, gamma, delta brain waves running electricity through your brain. Your brain consumes 20% of the electricity in your body, fact. And so essentially, what happens is your brain is on fire, literally. If you look at it under a brain scan, it looks like a brainstorm. And basically, what you want to do is you want to take a nap or meditate, because when you do, it decreases the size of the cells inside of your brain. Your brain cells shrink by 60%. And when that happens, there's these cells called the glial cells or the glial cells. And these glial gardeners come through and they clean out the synaptic connections that have not been being used. The old neural synaptic network that's not being used. So this is important to know, because your brain has a delete button, and this is how you use it. They say that where attention goes, energy flows. So if you're focusing on peak performance, if you're focusing on I can do it, then those thoughts are being reinforced in the brain. The thought, I can do it, I'm good enough, I'm strong, I'm capable, I'm powerful. Those thought patterns are being reinforced. That neural synaptic network is being reinforced. And when you take a nap, the brain cells shrink by 60% so that the glial gardeners can come and clean out the synaptic networks that are not being used, like you're not good enough, or you can't do it, or you don't have enough time in the day, right? These old ideas, because a thought triggers an electric synaptic connection. And every thought has a synaptic network inside of your brain, right? And connected to a synaptic network inside of your body. The emotion. So keep that in mind. Taking power naps is so powerful, because you can actually start to prune those old thought patterns, those old programs, and start to encode yourself with a new understanding, with a new affirmation, with a new belief. Cool. All right, so this is going to be the last little step here, you guys, and we're going to be talking about turning off and turning on. So basically, I want to talk about, first of all, being able to turn your body on. When I say turn your body on, I mean get physical. Physically turn on your body. So do you work out? I'm curious to know if you work out, the people who are watching right now. I had made a poll in here, but I don't see my poll. Can you guys see my poll right now? I asked, do you work out? And what time do you work out? What's the best time for you to work out? I'm curious, because, for me personally, I know a lot of people like to work out in the mornings, and everyone's hormones are different. But I personally like to work out in the evening after I've done all of my creative projects and my mental work. Then I like to go and physically exert my body. And even when I'm exhausted, even when I'm tired after a long workday, I still push myself to get out there and physically move my body, because I know that there's a bunch of neurotransmitters and neurochemicals that have been secreted in my body that need to be moved, that need to be flushed. And my body wants to exert energy to stay strong. Otherwise, you're just gonna, slowly cripple away, and your muscles will deteriorate over time. And, essentially you're just gonna lose all your muscle mass and just become blob, right? And so your body is an instrument for your entrepreneurial venture. Say, my body and my mind are an instrument for my entrepreneurial venture. This is one of the most important things that we need to understand. The yogis who were out there, practicing yoga, they didn't practice yoga so that they could look good during an Instagram selfie. They were practicing yoga so that they could sit in meditation for 10 hours and be totally present with the work that they were doing. To be peace, to bring peace. That is their job. That is the yogi's job. To experience peace, to experience the oneness of peace. Your job, your entrepreneurial venture, is to make the biggest impact, to increase the bottom line for your shareholders, to increase the triple bottom line, people, planet, profit, for the planet and for society. This is your job. And if you are cutting yourself short, if you're working yourself to the bone and grinding yourself into the floor, thinking, just thinking that you're going to, make a bunch of money, that's cool. But how about your quality of life, man? This is your opportunity, especially if you're a successful entrepreneur. That's when you really got to be like, all right, you know what? I've experienced success in every area of my life, including here. So important. One of the most important things, because the more that you can train yourself to be the best version of yourself, the more that your business is going to thrive. And I see so many amazing entrepreneurs who are, those badasses that used to be overweight and then they just get ripped and they're all about peak performance. And it's like, it just shows, and you show the world. It's like, hey, before I didn't really, it wasn't a priority to me, but now I know that my body is an instrument, and the more health that I have inside of my body, the more vibrant and more successful my business is going to be, the more confidence I'm going to have, the stronger attention span I'm going to have, the less my mind is going to have control over and the less my body is going to have control. Because when you kick your ass in your workout, you're telling your body who's boss. Your conscious mind is coming in saying, hey, body, listen up. It's time to work. I'm going to make you stronger by crushing you right now. And your body's like, no, don't do it. I'm hungry. I want to go have a beer. I want to blah, blah, blah. And every time you let the body win, every time you say, actually, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to go blah, blah, blah. You're letting that body win, and then it's like, we get into the habits, and then it just goes more and more and more. So we got to break that habit. We got to break the cycle. We got to break the chain. We got to break ourself and then remake ourselves. That's what a hack is, right? That's what hackers do. They break things and they make it better. This is a life hack. These are peak performance hacks. Cool? So the more that you can turn on your body, the more that you can turn on your mind, the more you can turn yourself on. And the last thing that I'll share is that, and I have this in my slides here. I want to share the slides. I'll probably overlay them in a video later and share it in a YouTube video. But basically, the more that we can turn our bodies on and utilize that sensual energy, that sexual energy, that thriving energy, the more that we can harness that love for ourself, the love for our beloved, the love for the universe, the love for your business, the love for the world, the more that you're in alignment in that way, the more that you're going to be able to harness that creative energy, the creative energy that gives birth to new life. You have the ability to harness that energy and sublimate it into your business. Now, that's going to be a totally different masterclass that we'll have to, talk about at a different time. We'll explore that topic because it's something I'm really passionate about, and it's something that is coming alive inside of us now. And so it's time to refine and redesign who we think we are inside of our mind, our businesses, our initiatives. Everything that we are being called to create is something that we need to demonstrate first in ourselves, first in our mind, first in our body, then in our business. Then we can share it with the world as our witness so that we can thrive inside and be able to change the lives of this human race once and for all, so that we can reside in a state of mind of heaven on earth, so that we can reside in a state of right here, right now. This is a perfect moment for us to become the greatest version of ourselves. So let's master our day, one day at a time. We can do it right now with this little rhyme. Peak performance strategies for you to find so you can go try